Hey guys, Weep here. Welcome back to another video by Variety MMOs. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Reaper class in Sword of Legends Online. We're going to be covering the basic attack, rhythm, and without using glyphs as always because of the changes it makes. And it's going to give you an idea of what to expect later on in the game and the abilities you're going to be using when leveling up. So first, we're going to look at the Assassin skill tree. So as with most classes, you have 3 primary skills and other skills that support, enhance, or adapt depending on which ability you're using. So we have Spirit Strike, which will give you your little charges down here. So let's use those up real quick. So using Q will give you both edge and it will give you stacks. Now, your edge will be used to do Moonsickle. And while you're doing Moonsickle, you're going to get your stacks a lot faster than if you're using Spirit Strike. So basically, you alternate between Moonsickle and Spirit Strike to keep your edge up and to maximize your stacks. Now that your stacks are capped out, you will spam your War Moon, which will do this. So it's actually doing an AoE, a small AoE damage, and it's using up all of my charges. So then you go back between E and Q, keep your edge up, and then keep getting your stacks all the way back up until it's full, and then repeat again and again. So it's a pretty straightforward DPS cycle, but it would be quite hard if you had mobs moving around, and the warm-up time is kind of annoying, quite frankly. So next up here, we have Wheel of Frost. So what this does is you'll notice that when I'm attacking it, it's taking a small part of the damage that I'm actually doing to the boss, and it's kind of stacking it up. It's like saving it. And what's going to happen is when you've used all of your damage, or when the boss is getting low HP, it's going to have a really high number here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use Wheel of Frost. And it has 587 damage. 586. So it's going to do all the damage that's saved up. Basically saves up a small percentage of damage you do to the boss and unloads it all at once when the boss is weakened or something like that. Next up, we have Dusk Bringer. So Dusk Bringer will give you more movement speed, more damage, but it is greatly reduced when you're in combat. So what you're going to do is you're going to go in Dusk Bringer, and now you're in this form. You're doing quite a bit more damage for here, so you're basically doing the same rotation. Now we have this, so we can click this E. So that'll dash forward. Now, if I run back here again, it'll jump me back to the mob. So you can use it to run to a mob or dash to a mob, and then get out of an AoE, and then click it again, and it'll take you back to the boss, do a bit of damage, and get you around. Okay, so your same rotation, you got to keep using it to do damage. Okay, let's get our stacks up a bit. Okay, the stacks are coming up nicely. Alright, so while doing all this, I'm supposed to have a Heart Eater on. So a Heart Eater is just basically static damage. So you want to make sure that you have it going at all times. And it's honestly pretty decent damage. So just keep applying it whenever the timer starts to get low. It's really simple. It doesn't even have stacks. So now that all this damage is multiplying, it's slowly getting up there. And now I hit T, 2,500 damage. Because of all that saved up damage. So it has a long wind-up time. So here we have Lunar Break. It's just basically interrupt. As always, interrupting is really good to get rid of their golden shell. Here we have Shadow Ward. So what this does is it actually jumps in the enemy's body. And while you're here, you can't actually be attacked. So when you use it again, you can actually jump back out. So you can use this to dodge complete mechanics. Okay, so here we have Avert Disaster. Eliminates all crowd control effects. Like every other class, it basically gets you away. Here we have Lunar Seal. So it uses up to 3 incarnations, and it gives unconscious. So what this can do is if an enemy is stunned, you can use this to increase their stun timer. Now, obviously, if a boss can't be stunned, you can't use that. It's not going to do diddly squat for you. But if you use this on a mob that's knocked down, you can extend their down timer, so it'll allow you to get more time to get in some nice War Moons. Here, you just basically have dodge in any direction, like always. And then we have Witch's Ritual, which is basically once the shell is broken, you're going to hit them with it. We have a couple other nifty little abilities down here. So we have Spectral Phantom, which does this. So let's get our points back. Okay, so keep an eye on where the resources are. See how that they're completely full? We're going to use Spectre of Phantom. And we're back, and now we're full again. So it basically, it saves your state that you were in. It doesn't save everything, but it saves the state you were in before you use the ability. So it's like a complete save state, and you go backwards. Okay, so here we have, what else do we have? We have Shade Strike, which basically makes you invisible. Allows you to get out of combat, but if you move, it's going to get rid of it. And last up, we have Eclipse. So this way, you can go back to your waypoint on the map. So if you click on this, I can go anywhere on the map. So it's actually really useful, quite frankly. So, as I mentioned, the basic combo is Q, E, R to stacks. Keep your Heart Eater up. Use your Dusk Bringer to get more damage, and keep stacking it up until your Wheel of Frost is available. Pretty straightforward. The only real problem is that it takes quite a while to stack up. So when you're trying to fight a couple of mobs at a time, it can be extremely annoying because by the time you get any amount of stacks to be worth it, they're basically dead anyway. So on bosses, this does quite a bit better than it would on trying to group mobs up together. Okay, so let's go and have a look at the other specialization. Next up, let's look at the Cultistry. So this is going to be a little bit difficult because I don't have a target to use all of my skills on, so please do bear with me. So first up, we have Sea Fog, which is basically just a single target regen that you have to stand still while using. If you try to move, it'll cancel. So it's just a generic kind of short burst heal. Next up, we have the Lotus, which you can place a couple of Lotuses on the ground, and if you're standing in the Lotus, you'll take 20% less damage. Now, if you put these Lotuses down and they do not use all the healing power, it'll actually restore part of the mana that you use to cast them down to the ground. Now, as you notice, you don't really use a lot of mana on this, but over time, that could be quite nice. Please note that you cannot stand in the middle of 3 of these and get a triple heal. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. Next up, we have Dusk Bringer, which will increase your movement speed, increases damage by 10%. So, we can go like this. Now, you wouldn't think this is very useful. However, you can do DPS. So, your first 2 abilities transform into just 2 generic basic abilities that are mostly focused on a little bit of damage and just reducing the shell on the enemy. So, you can definitely do damage if you choose. Next up, we have Blood Circulation Summoning. What this will do, let's see if I can use it. So it's actually going to use it on myself. So what it does is it sacrifices your current. Regenerates for 301 HP, grants a blood circulation effect. And blood circulation regenerates 50 HP per second. So it's basically a heal, quite frankly. It's a bit of a regen. Next up, we have Summon Spirit Growth. The effect summons Spirit Growth. Healing reduces damage taken by 35% and restores 800 HP. So let's give it a use. There we go. Now I'm healing. And here you get a couple of effects on you as I'm MP regenning. Next up, we have Lunar Magic. So this one confused me originally. It appears that it resets your energy charge for blood circulation. So if you use this a couple times to get rid of it, and you use it, it'll reset that. So, Lunar Magic increases total HP by 50%. And then, it also rejuvenates you 4% of HP for 3 seconds. So, look, let me get rid of the charge and watch my HP. So, you instantly got 4 charges again to throw on your members. And you've got 8,000 HP. So, if the tank's taking a lot of damage, or you know the party's about to take a lot of damage, you can use this on your party. Then you can throw this at the tank to increase its HP. And then get these back and keep using them. So that is what Lunar Magic does. So here we have Elapsed Time. So what Elapsed Time does, if you hit Alt, it makes it so you can use your Sea Fog or your damage ability with less cast time. And it makes your healing stronger and stuff like that. It also, what is it? So it's 15% movement time, increases healing, and cast time. So overall, it's pretty good to have on you. As you can see, it has a couple of buffs going at the same time right now. So Exorcism, basically, it gets rid of a debuff. So good to have on a good button. Soul Bond. So what this can do is you can Soul Bond somebody. Unfortunately, I can't do it then. I can't do it on myself. But what this does is it bonds you both together, and it makes you share 10% of the damage taken by the target. So primarily going to want to use this on the tank. The important part is the Soul Bond is interrupted because of low HP. You gain immortality to the damage, and 20% of your HP is restored instantly. So if the tank takes too much damage and it's going to kill you, it'll actually prevent this. It's kind of a little bit silly because it's super powerful. You can use it without consequence because you know you cannot die from it. It also increases HP healing on the person that you are healing. So overall, it's a great thing to have on a tank. Next up, we have Snake Handler. So, Snake in the Cloud, Sea Fog, regenerates 55 HP for the ally with the lowest HP and applies healing haze for 3 seconds. So, I don't have enough stacks for this right now because I am not in healing mode and I'm not healing people. However, if you use it, it'll actually summon a snake, as you can see here, and it heals the lowest HP person around it. Here we have Star Spell Rest. So, what this does, it basically channels everybody's HP and brings everybody's HP to the same percentage. It also reduces the HP, the damage people take, slightly by 10%, and it regenerates everyone over time. So if I click it, that would have grabbed everybody's HP, and then kind of like balance all out. So if you have like a tank at 10%, everyone else at 90%, it'll take their HP and give it to the tank. This is really good for raid-wide mechanics. So far, you have a couple of heals that kind of regen and instant heals, and you also have a big AoE heal. So far, it seems to be a pretty good support from what I've been showing you. Next up, we have Poison Worm. So this is more supporty. It increases the aggro, so it depends on who you use it. So if you use it on the tank, they get 15% extra aggro. If you use it on a DPS, they get 5% basically damage. And if you perform it on a healing master, it reduces the damage taken by 20%, and the damage you take yourself by 60%. So this can basically reduce the damage another healer takes, or it can take away 60% damage of your own, which is, as you can imagine, a really powerful heal. Well, defense. Next up, we have immediately restores maximum HP of an ally. The target loses 10% of the received HP for every second. So let's say they are 30% HP, this will fill them up, but that means they're going to lose 70% of their HP over 7 seconds. But then you have your other heals to heal them. So it's basically a get out of jail free card, but it has a consequence. You have to keep healing them. You can't just throw a heal and then keep healing and healing and healing. So that's what Heart Rendering Wormspell does. Here we have Avert Disaster, which is basically just get out of there. Then we have Shade Strike. So switch to Invisible. Again, you can go invisible. And then you have dodge in the way of movement, so it'll always jump backwards. If you don't want to jump backwards, it just hit shift and go sideways. So what we discovered is that you can heal. You can do a bit of damage like this. And your heals are primarily Sea Fog to start with, but you cannot move. Then you have Lotus, which allows you to do AoE. Then you have a couple of instant heals in blood circulation. And then you can regenerate everybody's mana with Summon Spirit Growth, followed up by Soul Bond to make sure that your tank cannot die. Well, not necessarily cannot die, but it'll share the damage. Then you have Snake Handler to heal the lowest person, alongside Star of Rest to make sure nobody dies if they're really low HP. So overall, it has some nice instant heals, it has a clutch heal, and a couple of big AoEs. So I would say that's actually a very powerful healer. Once you have enough stats behind you, you can keep your mana and stuff like that up. Okay, so that covers everything for the Reaper Guide. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace.